Okay, so for this project, we had two main mandates, and that was, number one, develop the centralized geographic database for the pome and stone fruit industry, starting with the EGVV. And secondly, during that development, showcase how that geographically linked data can be leveraged by industry. I presented before at the IPM where we looked at the fruit fly data we incorporated to answer to that second aim. And today I thought that it would be pertinent to focus on some more fruit-related applications to our data. All right, so I'm going to be showing you how we can leverage our geographically linked orchard census data. Okay, so for this very basic site analysis, I made use of the data that we have in our database, as well as collaboration with Terraclim for climate layers, because I was going to do a climate site analysis. In our database, we have around 6,000 orchards digitized in the EGVV, about 2,000 heading towards Greyton area as well. And we have in our database orchard census data that is unlinked. And then thanks to the participation of a few growers, we have successfully linked around 700 orchard census entries to physical orchards that we've digitized. So that's what I was looking at. And to get to the fun stuff, a little bit of the process. The orchards that you're seeing here are the 6,000 orchards that we digitized in the EGVV. And we used climate data layers from Terraclim. Four main indicators, and that is the hours above 30 from September to April, chill units based on the InfruitSec model from May to August, heat units, growing degree days and hours from October to April. This was more of an exploratory experiment, just to see how we could play around with our data and how it could be useful to researchers in the future. So we did a statistical analysis of the orchards that we have successfully linked to some of the orchards in this area. Most of those orchards are around here, the bottom of Grabouw. Now, the analysis we did was on apple cultivars, so it's less relevant today. So I'm not going to speak too much to what the results were, but what I can say is that there's going to be interest whenever you start to look at combined data like this. And the most important thing is when you see outliers, or perhaps a cultivar that doesn't perform or doesn't seem to be growing, rather, in a place where you expect, these lines, X's, and dots on the stat maps, we can point you exactly to where those orchards are, and that's the difference. That's the importance about knowing where all of the orchards are. Just an important little observation that we made. When you're trying to look at localized interest points, when you're trying to look at how interesting the data is in a small area, it's definitely more interesting to look at degree hours instead of days, because you'll see that there's a lot more variation and you could pinpoint a lot more pain areas if there are any to be found. We did the same thing with apples and pears, again, not as relevant today. But we also see that there's more interesting variety in the degree hours, which is obviously to be expected. So I'm not going to speak too much to that. The important thing is that we need to express to industry that when you know where an orchard is, once there is a coordinates assigned to an orchard, you can integrate that data with any data that has a spatial component. Right? We heard earlier about how important it is to have availability and accessibility of data, especially in climate change, risk, etc. And what the data carp does, or hopes to do, is to bring data silos together to avoid repeatability, to increase interoperability, and to achieve that goal of available and accessible, relevant contextual information. Rebecca, we already know where all of our orchards are and what grows in them. I understand that. We want to make it easy for growers to share data with researchers, risk assessors, and so on. And we hope that in the future, the collaboration element becomes stronger and stronger, as we are now in the participation phase, where we are trying to link more of those orchards to make our database more complete. The more complete it is, the better the research that is done with it will be. So thank you to TerraClim for your collaboration and hopefully the collaboration that we will be doing in the future. Thank you, Hortgrow, for your continued support, and thank you, Vian, for help with this presentation as well. And Fruitfly Africa and Fruitways for the data that they shared with us, and mostly the growers. Thank you.